Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing really well. My name's Eva and I want to thank you for joining me here in this video. I hope you guys are doing really well. There's certainly a lot going on in the field, a lot of information coming from all sorts of sources of plasmic consciousness, certainly solar consciousness, but really understanding that this is coming from the heart of God, which is the center of our being. So, really understanding that this is all about the relationship to the self, and that we really notice and can get the most out of the information that is around us in the field by understanding that the field is of us, that we are of the field, and the field is one, and we are projecting this field from our consciousness. There's one mind. So that's very related to the information that's coming through today. This first came out, I was doing some work for a client yesterday, and this idea of like feeling owed, right? And then this sort of, I was going on a walk and it sort of emerged as this like feeling owed is kind of keeping you in debt. And so this is like clearing the lack debt matrix of like the false field. And so it will certainly help in terms of like the financial situation of it all, but it's so much more than that. And it's really coming through as like this like merge energy. And there's some notes that came through, so if I look down, that's what's happening. Like really clearing these distortions in magnetism, like correcting the flow of magnetism and kind of opening to receive with this like clean slate. This is a lot about clearing from the past, like letting go of the past, not holding it in our awareness. And while we might not think that we're constantly thinking about the past like consciously, we have all of these different dimensional levels of awareness. So we really want to make sure that we're clearing from all levels of awareness, that we're not hiding anything, that we're bringing it to the light. And then at this sort of deeper level, it is restoring this balance between the self, between others, and between systems, such that the systems are then like neutralized and disappear when they're brought into wholeness. And this is really coming through, and this has come through before, this image of like bringing it into phase. You can look this up and see sort of waveforms or like even sine waves, and how when they come into phase, they become like one wave, right? So it's really important, especially in the context of unity work that we do, that we understand that this is all like two sides of the same coin, that like untangling from each side kind of shows you that they meet in the middle as this, as like the same but different manifestations of polarity. So what we're seeing on two different, what looks like opposing and opposite sides, is really just one continuous string or line of the same program or the same idea or the same belief or the same system. And so there's a big message of, for like the collective of the world in the time that we're in right now, that when it is realized, like when we can truly realize and believe this, when we can really remember that this is so, that the nature of opposite polarities is really one, the appearance of their opposition will fall away in ease and peace will emerge. First, this happens inside of you. And for the example of like feeling like you're owed, like feeling like there's should be more coming to you than what you've given, and that like keeping you indebtedness feels like opposites, but we're letting this emerge from us now to see how this is like one thing, one string. And then when we can sort of reconcile this, bring this into wholeness and unity within ourselves, within our system, our own personalized field, that then it echoes out into this larger field through the power of our mind, through the power of quantum projection. And so this is truly how heaven on earth emerges from us. But there's a strong focus on releasing the past of these programs. And again, this will come through really because of the nature of what money really is, which is this like outward manifestation of value that we have separated from ourselves, that we've then like detached from ourselves and then like buy and trade and gamble with on very little basis in true value. Like it's all made up value. Like money isn't worth anything except what people make it. And they kill and die for it and do horrible things. And also very good things as well, right? So we have to see that like it's all one, and it is coming from a deeper place, because money, the idea of money in the financial system and like capitalism and all, and even before capitalism in this sort of trade kind of way, is all very based in further and further, like deeper levels of this idea of like value. And so when we extend into seeing like the value of all as inherent and ever present, that it kind of naturally dissolves these things, and we're like free of the push and pull of it, and then we can just see them as kind of neutral tools. I mean, I do think it will, this method of neutralizing, right, is so much of out in the world now. This manifests in many different forms as we see it. The systems are so imbalanced such that they cannot be maintained. And so restoring balance is the crux, right? But that is neutralizing in such a way that we can see all as the same, that there's really no they're not opposites, they're not different, they just appear different to us by what side of the opposition we think that we find ourselves on. But if we bring ourselves into the center, we see that we're not playing sides. We free ourselves from the restrictions and the prison and the false laws and all of this stuff that we've made on top of it, all of these stories around it. And this will come through in the genetic expression of it as well. And so that's where sort of the light codes come in. And that's how we bring it all into wholeness. Really, my work is unity work. And so it brings it all into wholeness. We clear those distortions on the magnetism as well, though that is a very big message of this particular session. And also, if you are drawn to this work and you want to go deeper in it for yourself, I have so many trance meditations on my website that are focused specifically on financial things, but also go to, I mean, in this code, right, in the light code, in the light language, or the vocal code, this electromagnetic code, what we can describe of it is just scratching the mere surface of what's really going on here. So I really encourage you guys to really use this as like almost like a touchstone for your own work and your own bringing forth of information from you, because we are all uniquely coded and we all have bits and pieces of the information that we're really meant to share and integrate and bring forth here in our incarnations, because it's all within us. It's all being remembered from within us, and we all carry a piece of that. So I really encourage you to be active in your participation with it, because that will make it most meaningful to you and will really help. You know, a lot of people come and ask for assistance with their purpose. I think when you really take an active role in the energy work that you participate in with other people, that becomes very clear to you, because you trust, right? It's the foundation of all of this work is trust. Trust in God, which is self, right? You are one with God. It is of your one self. You are of it. It is not separate from you. This is where all information and power comes from. So really, really, really making it like using it as an active, in whatever way you like. Movement, it doesn't have to be writing, but journaling, you know, codes might come out of you when you least kind of expect it. And just trusting that there are different ways of understanding this information that might not be as linear as we might like it to be, but certainly we are being called to understand that there are different ways of communicating, different ways of remembering that we have forgotten, but we are certainly remembering very powerfully now. So I just wanted to bring that up because these videos are kind of short, and there are many ways to go deeper into this work. That is, you know, the trance meditations are music, like noise music ambient sort of noise that I orchestrate along with the light language codes. So I'm not talking, I'm not like explaining anything. So it's just like very, very deep trance work. And the personalized trances are like that too, but those come with very specific written messages as well. So just taking a nice deep breath. Really, really big message of trusting the information that's coming through you for yourself as like correct, if you will. Like there's no right or wrong about what you're sensing and feeling. Like you're not going to perceive, if it's coming from like the peace of your being, the unity of your being, it might not always feel that way to you, but it is something that is for your awareness. When we start to really, really get down on ourselves, if you feel like it's judgment, if you feel like it's fear, if you feel like it's lack, if you feel like it's limitation, that's the voice of the ego talking, and that should just be abandoned and thrown out the window. That will teach you nothing about yourself. It doesn't know you. God knows. The ego perceives. So opening ourselves up to this field now, which is of ourself, accepting our place in the mind of God, expanding the definition of what we think ourself is, letting the limits of what we believe we are dissolve, knowing we are safe, knowing we are held, knowing we are provided for eternally. We are in no danger, and lack is an idea, a false one. Yananodo amaya son chocorro canais, sin chatiatorro kiniamna sitayon choconon trocanai, kimiandriti sinsi kini shin sondro kayan centro corrot, himitia takaratus. And so remember, this is multidimensional, interdimensional electromagnetic healing, and so it might come through as many, many different things individually for different people. Certainly you might encounter, this message went away and now it's coming back again. There might be reunion with different parts of self in different realms that you are noticing at this time. We want to anchor in an energy and a technology of forgiveness to release any like false timelines, any timelines in fear in relation to other parts of self, which can appear to us as other beings. Certainly you and I are one self. I look like I'm in this body, you look like you're in yours. You know, that echoes out into different dimensions as well. But it's all held within the genetic code and the morphogenetic imprinting of the whole entire planetary and solar and galactic consciousness and universal and so on and so on. And so we bring this all into the wholeness of unity in the remembrance of ourselves as one being, as one life. Hiataya korrohanat, one mind. Shitia sakuru diamnatri tisi kinatroan, kinindreasut, and we offer that to all living beings for their happiness, their peace, and their own remembrance of who they are in truth. Kiriatorro kanayan sitia nati sinchinim no harat. Kamasun sokono in chiria oruitia son sokiniani. Hibiata orru hindriato sum sokono shansatro ata. Kitis natro arahatisin. Shimdraisin drihatos okorroinda matro en santahit. Kibayat orruitision shitrihiti kiniamara. Yana osia shiritia trakit. Hindrihorro indritis natrat, kininto asin ishin satrahisin, simshiritri kindro ruiti simshikinindra ayai, hiniandrato soshim sakiritorro, hinindrihayat orkayatorro unduhim, hindritisin chiriti kiarayatisin chikinindrayasum, shamaharaya kianihisandritisi. Let yourself really focus in. Sien chinindro arrihinim do orruam satru, him shorroihindo omatra tindo orro kinindritisai, hinatokono anasham satro itisim shitror, hinindhaya kinayan, inianayati kiyatayoti, hiri araya sisia, ishiri araya toro, hinindriayusio son shinindruindo korruhut, hu amayan chorinian datiki, kita orro koatoro iri ratasai sienchanihana, ini antakorro ini indato soto, I oro ini intapos orro hidit, hirihanatra. And if you notice anything uncomfortable come up, just imagine plasmic consciousness, plasmic light, liquid light coming through, or the waters of life, the transformational fires, the angel of sunlight, the angels of water, Hianayan tokonitis, the angels of air, purification, Sitrihanum natia sonjokonohini taya tokoruti simsikyoshi trihana sonsokoni shiriatasi. Let this remind you and anchor you into the earthly mother. Kiatakorium nati sansakiniash, the love of the mother. Si shononuyamaya tom niatai kian. Shini sion sokono iniani chim diriatos. Remember, as beings of earth, our abundance comes from our Mother Earth. Kiapayotokonimati shitis. And certainly, her magnetism is really changing right now, and so is ours. And so we change one with her. Kimi toyum natrato sun chikini te andakini tisin sish nindruhut, hinin reato sum shikini druatas. Sian jokonuyen sati shingi aya ninyon nom naran, hiniana on dian doko amashi, simi sandoko nim diki oyoptoruit, histoshim sikiandi sin chitri, kinindritis ias osh itrat ot orruik miem to ot, hidis ioro iriatayak iriat oro, hinian anchiki im tis isiashuiso iakora, iniana iri, hiniando ama ata oashuayak, hind yok uyuporo, hiriaporo iri. Sinchikini nin sondroat, o imnarianana, hutia korroiti sikia. And if it's helpful too, this is an interesting, there's a really interesting kind of image coming through that I wasn't really anticipating, but we were talking about the past being stored in our bodies, right? So if you think about your cochlea in your ear, the nerve structure of it that's wrapped around can unravel and be quite, it can't while it's in your ear to be functioning, but unravels and is quite long. Or how your intestines, they all fit perfectly inside of your body, but they're actually really, 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 really long. It's kind of like that. If you're imagining an unraveling of the past, a scroll that you're kind of whoopsh, just letting unfurl forever. Or if your cat ever gets to your toilet paper, how it just goes and goes and goes. What appears to be held in a very small space is holding so much information. And so we're really, really letting it unravel and then letting it be undone. And remember, love never changes. Love is eternal. There is only one love, and that is the love of God, which is what we are. And it is never lost. There's nothing lost in love ever. It is eternal, it is now, and it's ever extending. Love extends, love meets itself in oneness, and just goes on and on and on in creation. And so when we undo the past, because there's no concept of past or future in love. There just is, period. So when we are unraveling these, if you want to think about it as your genetic code, I do. You don't have, whatever works for you. This is how it's shown to me. Or any other sort of metaphor or impressions that come to you as you're thinking of it being undone, unraveling, and then no longer there for you to see, as you do not want to be holding on to it because it does not, spirit cannot use it. You cannot use it for love. It is a distraction from love. It is not helpful to extending love. Love cannot be allowed in where there is fear being held in its place. And so we are undoing it. And so as you imagine the unraveling in whatever visualization you're using, that it is then undone by the love of God. If that is too abstract for you, then the healing waters of life, the sacred fire of transformation, any number of flames that people like to use and think about that transform and undo. Plasmic energies, plasmic light, the sun, you can think of the sun burning away the impurities. All of these things are very helpful. Kiriatondo himni andrain. It's very important to know, though, and to really realize and try to remember that it is an undoing. Like it will no longer be there for you to see. So you might notice extreme changes in your memory. You might notice a lot of changes in your body as you undo this in your body, in your vision, in the way you are perceiving, in what you think about, in what you notice, in the life that changes around you, in what information you get from the field. So that could be nature, it could be interdimensional beings and consciousnesses. Um, they don't often appear to me in bodies, if I'm honest. They look very different from what we would think of as a being, but certainly they are beings. And yes, be open, don't be afraid. This will change you, but that's what you want, or else you would not have come here. Kiriataya sin chikinin draision socorro hanain chitikin taptakorro toyam natut oruin yoptokonish. And don't be afraid of the financial system changing. You will be, you are taken care of eternally. You are always safe. When you open yourself to be to these adjustments in magnetism, these openings in magnetism, we are releasing this sort of compression. We're releasing magnetic compression. We're making more space to receive for ourselves here so we can then see the nature of giving and receiving being one. First, we must bring reconciliation to the poles before they could be merged in unity. They must be seen as one in order to be one for us in our belief. And so we are clearing these distortions in magnetism. As we do this, it's much easier to receive assistance from God, from our spirits, from our friends and family and ancestors and guides than it would be. And then we are less afraid of, oh my goodness, how am I going to pay for X, Y, or Z? Or certainly there's so much fear in the collective right now. And if we are looking at it from these very lower dimensional fear-based perspectives, that's very understandable because look at what's happening in the world. But God is really asking us now to take a higher view so that we can be of assistance to this world, and we can't be of assistance if we are afraid for ourselves in lack. So we're really being called to step forward. And this is what it means to lead. You know, you don't need to it doesn't like leader is in the way showing, but the way is one, and the way is the way you live your life. And so that is left as an imprint for all beings. It's not really matter what you do in terms of like career. You don't have to be like a spiritual leader as a career. That's not what I mean. It is to lead the way by not being afraid, by walking in certainty in God. Hiratosut. That doesn't mean that you're going to know every single step. That's not certainty. That's control of the ego. That's control. That's not of... God is not uncertain, right? But it's you are certain in your being provisioned and abundant and overflowed and taken care of by God and the oneness of your field. And you are certain in that, and so you don't need to know what the next 8 steps are. You know that no matter what step you take, when you are following the love of God within you, and you open your heart to the heart of God, which is where you come from, which is where you've never left, which is where you are, that it doesn't matter where you go and what you do, that you are going to be provided for because of your trust in God. And it is not a reward, it is just the way. It's just the way that it works. It's not like God sees you trusting and is like, oh, that one deserves it. It's not like that. It is just the way of like what you're paying attention to. You can turn away from it in fear. If you're being afraid, then you are turning away from that certainty, and you can't see it because you're choosing not to look at it. So God is asking us, Spirit is asking us to look instead at where you are already safe, where you already are in overflow. And don't pay attention too much. This is very counterintuitive to the way the world is, and it does take practice. That's why we're here together, doing it and practicing together. But the more you focus on your limitlessness, you are a limitless being of God. Everything comes to orchestrate, and that all of that unity that we keep talking about in the field, because you receive messages as you go. Assistance comes from many different ways. It is very beautiful. And that is coming home to self. That is the way that life is meant to be. Kiria tokorro konuin so konishindrihit. Mian sokono inchi kinindri am natroar ruito sum socorro. And so we focus on this instead of focusing on all of the details of what is leaving. It's all fear. Let it go. Kyriatos. If there is information specifically about it that needs to come through, I usually think that that is a sign for you of what you are here to help other people with. So definitely note that if there's very strong information that keeps coming through. But I don't believe we're so meant to be so focused on the distortions of the field. We know what they are. We live them. We wrote them. We made them up. Now it is time to turn our face towards the sun. It is time to turn our face towards the heart of ourselves and to just focus on more abundance, more communication, more unity, more love, more safety, more certainty, more power, more sovereignty, more authority in God, in spirit, in alignment. That's what brings you closer into alignment. And then it brings you into the alignment, and then you are flowing in the center. And all is taken care of, and we trust that. Very, very beautiful work today, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here. Tiasakin iniano araya sunsokono shamain yanatro. Remember who you are. Kia san chikini tiansatish. Remember how powerful you are. You are a being of God. You are a being of eternal love. This is your truth. Kiriata sansakini shinsikinindri. This is the truth of us all. Amen. Okay, thank you so much. I love you all. If you want to work more closely together, there are many ways to do so, and all of those are linked below. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave comments. Leave comments anyway. Let me know what is coming through for you guys. But if you have any questions, you can email me, or there's a contact form on my website. All goes to the same place. And I think that's it. Oh, if you want to go deeper into the work, there are obviously many ways to do so, but the stuff that's going on the member channel, very, very exciting stuff. So if you want to become a member of the channel, it really helps me out. This is what I do for a living full time. So if the work is resonant to you and has been helpful, I would really appreciate it. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time.